So today we're going to talk about our nasty exes. The games in our lives which took the love we showed them and threw it back in our faces time and time again.
But like every infatuated moron, we kept chasing the dream of happy coexistence, even past the eventual realization that it would never be what we wanted it to be. First up, the obvious disrespect.
When Ark Survival Evolved first dropped in early access, we were taken by the concept. I mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs, right? And over time, Wildcard have added so much to the game. New maps, new creatures, new hazards, all expanding a survival experience which is already big enough to live in. On the surface, it's a really good co-op game too, with massive challenges in caves and boss fights. It makes for a more engaging multiplayer, and building up a home and stable feels so much more rewarding when others can share the benefits.
The game is a big time sink due to its vastness, with nearly anything you set out to do being quite a substantial task. The idea being that you'll use tools and creatures to make life more efficient for yourself. Sadly, nothing will ever make offloading several thousand stone a fun or at least painless experience, except perhaps the modding community.
But, and it's a big ol' but. But no game is perfect, and Ark may be least of all. Though the concept of the game is awesome, Wildcard's now legendary degree of competence has caused it never-ending problems. From the hideously awkward build system which wastes your materials and never lines up properly, to the developer's trend towards prioritizing servers, the complete disregard for your hard drive, or the severe variability in performance, Ark just wants to hurt you.
If you've not played it, you've no doubt heard about it, probably in association with the mountain of bugs. Bugs in single player, bugs on servers. But when you press this button here...
No. Why would you do this?
In fact, it has had so many issues that we have never successfully managed to complete a map together without something game-breaking happening.
Years after Ark was supposedly ready for release, it was essentially a broken product, and even now as Wildcard ramps up for Ark 2, its predecessor still rolls the dice on your progress every time you play.
Ark's extremely avid modding community have fixed many issues and expanded the game yet further. However, even they can't be expected to fix everything that Wildcard should have.
They try their best, but constantly let you down. The Guild 2 and all versions of it.
If you've not heard of the Guild 2, we're not surprised. It's quite old, but you are missing out on a pretty awesome game. It's sort of an economic simulator with RPG elements set in the 15th century. You create a character and then throw them into a town or city of the time to attempt to find their...
ready for gratuitous sex scene.
Fortunes?
There you go.
Truly, a game which is more than the sum of its parts, an incredible, unique simulation in a dynamic setting. It's hard to convey just how well the blending of social, economic, and political aspects all work together. Mechanics seem simple on the surface, yet mesh together into a very effective system which marks everything you and any potential co-op partner do.
Production chains and profession abilities allow long-term strategies which can be even more complex and lethal with two players working together. The AI usually doesn't pull any punches and reacts to any action you make which affects them. This may not technically be a war game, but you would be forgiven for thinking so after a few years of provoking civil disorder, in some cases just by breathing.
Most negative things we could say about it now are simply due to the game being so dated. The scale of towns, the hilariously dodgy animations, and the multitude of lesser bugs. Many of these were down to technical limitations of the time, not that all can be forgiven so easily.
The one real problem, it harbours a dark and terrible secret. It's broken inside. Yes, just like that ex you're thinking about now. An issue with the way the game was built leads to an eventually guaranteed desync with your co-op partner, and though there is at least one annoying way to get it working again, once it's happened it will keep happening, essentially dooming your game.
Sadly, it will likely never be fixed at this point, and the Guild 3 is not a good follow-up, having been in development hell now for way too long for much hope to remain. Forever changing, so you don't know where you stand. It's 7 Days to Die!
Possibly the most popular and recognisable version of zombie apocalypse Minecraft, 7 Days has been in early access on Steam since the Industrial Revolution and shows no desire to leave it. It features interesting base building with a focus on defence which can really allow the more homicidal side of your creativity to flow, and usually it provides a decent challenge, settings and current version dependent.
Lots of skills, weapons, things to do, and places to go. 7 Days really does have a lot of longevity as a survival game. Regular updates mean you often have a reason to go back and see what's been added, and then apply it violently to a zombie's face.
However, a game which never finalises gives rise to a new set of problems. Lost progress every major update being just the tip of the rotten corpse pile. Regular changes to a game means more chances to introduce and then reintroduce bugs. In a game on which nearly everything relies on your defences working perfectly when you need them to, this has caused a multitude of in-game disasters over the years.
It also annoys the player base when unpopular gameplay changes are made to a game which they enjoyed more prior to the changes being made, like the addition of Demolisher zombies causing turrets to no longer be viable on Horde nights, for example.
Moreover, for a game which you will inevitably be forced to restart regularly, the map selection is pretty rubbish, and the rather limited random generator does little to improve it. Personally, I highly recommend the King's Gen map generator mod when you're sick of nav as a game.
Commitment! It's the only way! It's Arma 3. The Arma games have set their own standard for what PC war simulation should look like for years now, and if more realistic warfare is your thing, then you've almost certainly played them already. There's a very different feel to a game in which a single stray piece of shrapnel can end your life, and Arma sets out to provide the biggest, most customizable shrapnel arena there is.
A happy place where land, sea and air units, both players and AI, can mercilessly pound each other into paste over and over again in 1,000 different, but often similar ways. With one of the biggest and most dedicated modding communities out there, you can download pretty much any setting or time period you could think of in which to make missions and shoot at things. So how could such violent fun possibly be harmful?
Well, for a start, Arma's jank is straight up legendary. There aren't many games in which you can take your very existence in hand when hopping a low fence, nor many in which cars can achieve orbit following a 10-mile-per-hour rear-ending. We'd also bet there aren't many games where AI can still walk and shoot through walls 9 years after release.
Yes, you should be ashamed,
Bohemia. You should be damn ashamed.
The real reason it's here though is the degree of love this game requires to get anything special out of it. The vanilla campaign is generally ignored by all in favour of larger multiplayer custom missions, and though you can download many on the workshop, somebody had to make them. In the case of all that footage behind us, me.
In fact, pretty much all of the best content for Arma was made by third parties, meaning you'll either be very busy making missions or searching for them on the workshop in order to actually have something to play. It's also difficult considering the nature of Arma to make a good mission balance for 2 players. We usually consider 3 as an absolute minimum to make it worth playing.
Lastly, too much hard work and doesn't care about your feelings, it's Warframe. I've fallen in and out of love with Warframe several times. I've gotten friends to play it, my wife to play it, invested thousands of hours into this very unique multiplayer action RPG. The combat is fast and satisfying, your agility unrivaled, a huge selection of frames and weapons at your disposal with which to play a godlike space ninja. The story, though not particularly expansive, has a fantastic style and is set with music which really sweeps you up in the moment.
Sadly, this beautiful game is lacking in a number of areas which are mostly down to the devs' questionable focus. We don't necessarily hate the grind, especially when the gameplay is engaging enough. Clearly, Warframe does it pretty well considering it has survived this long. However, the sad realization, which takes far too long to occur, is that Warframe really has nothing else to offer. It's flashy combat and grinding for as long as you can stomach RNGesus's mood swings, forcing you to repeat the same missions over and over and over.
You may even be thankful when you find that many of the game modes have been forgotten by the devs, and that you'll never have to do them again once you've been forced through them 100 times and gotten all the drops.
OP metas which haven't really shifted in years have led to lazy farming tactics becoming the norm. Why make the effort to jump all over the place when you can just spray without the need to pray with this handy flamethrower? Or perhaps you prefer Octavia's ability to musically teabag her way to victory.
Late game loot is usually time gated on some level, serving to delay your true understanding of the fashion frame equals endgame joke, but humour covers the tears of a community that at this point must know there will likely never be a real endgame to Warframe. Once you hit that pinnacle, you're there and there's nothing really left for you.
Which all sadly serves to rub excrement on Warframe's shiny golden finish. Finally, on a cautionary note, if your other half gets motion sick, maybe skip it for the sake of your carpet too.
Of course, be it the rose-tinted glasses we wear or simply our victim-like attitudes, we don't hate these games. Despite all the pain and suffering they've caused us, something special about each of them has kept us coming back to play them over and over again.
Maybe this should give us pause for thought. Or maybe this was just a dumb fluff video that we massively overinvested our time and effort into. Either way, thanks for watching and we do really appreciate it. Please show us some love with the like button or in the comments if you think we deserve it.
See you soon.
See you soon! Okay, I'm ready when you are.
That's my drinking face, everybody. That's what I look like in real life, too.